What's good, everybody? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson back at it again here on the live stream, man. I'm so glad to have everybody here with me, and I'm really excited about my guest today. He had me waiting about 32 hours, but my brother came through. He's a really talented YouTuber. I'm gonna let him explain who he is and what his channel is all about. Go ahead, brother.
Yo, man, for those of you who don't know, my name is Red Supreme, TV1. I'm from Los Angeles, California. You know what I mean? I made my channel just based on a lot of dysfunction in our community. You know what I mean? Like Black people not being able to get along in relationships. Black people can't do business. The divorce rate being high. A lot of my friends were raised by single mothers, a lot of my cousins. And me being from the Black community, I've seen how it affects pretty much everybody in it. So I decided, hey man, why not make a channel and discuss these issues? And on top of that, people can come on and have the open conversation. So that was my motivation for starting my channel, my brother.
All right, give him a round of applause because I've been watching the brother. He didn't know, but I was watching him, and he has some really good stuff, and he makes a lot of good points. Shout out to my brother Ghana Dan. I met him in Uganda, and he was telling me about you about a year or so before. Okay. But brother, I called into your show the other day, but before I did that, it's a lot of Black men in our community that, coming up in inner city. Like I was born in Linwood. I grew up partly in Linwood, Compton, and Watts, and then I grew up in Sacramento, California. And you're from LA. You grew up in the inner city too.
Yeah.
And a lot of us as African American men, like once we grow up, and for whatever reasons, the bad experiences we may have, some of our people in the family might get killed, parents on drugs, and we come out, get out of that. We kind of like, man, I'm kind of cool off the Black community, and I don't even want to deal with them, or I'm like not that cool. People used to roast me. I'm kind of socially awkward.
Yeah.
And you were talking about that in particular in the general, which we're gonna get into. But before, you was kind of talking about that you actually have family members who feel like this, right? And let's kind of talk about that right now. Like, explain that to me, brother.
Well, like you said, you got a lot of Black people. Like my cousin, for instance, he's how old is he? Like 26. He listens to country music.
Okay.
And by him listening to country music, it makes him socially awkward when he gets around Black people. Mm-hmm. So by him being socially awkward, he got a lot of Asian and white friends. Mm-hmm. So when things happen in the Black community, he really don't feel no certain type of way because he don't feel accepted anyway. Mm-hmm. So that's what makes him feel so disconnected from the community, man. And it's crazy that I have people like that in my family, and some of these people were raised in the hood, not the suburbs. These are Blacks that were raised in the inner city who just happen to be socially awkward. And like I say, I got cousins and nephews like that, and they don't feel like they owe the Black community anything because they don't feel embraced by the community. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's why they have this. They don't really like when you hear things about Black people getting shot, Black-owned businesses. They don't really entertain it because they don't feel like they have anything in common with the community in the first place, man. So, yeah, man, social awkwardness, and even some of these females, bro. See a lot of these swirlers and all this. If they was able to get the type of brother they wanted that treat them right, they wouldn't be talking this crap. Mm-hmm. They get treated bad by a Black man. They become socially awkward. They go to the internet and they hear all this crap. Then next thing you know, they found a whole community of women who feel just like them. Mm-hmm. Now you have this I hate Black man movement, a bunch of socially awkward loser females, man. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, man, it's a whole lot of them out here.
Let's talk about that because, I mean, even me, I got called the little dark names, and I didn't have that many. I had a few foul ones. I ain't gonna lie about that. I scaled it up. Every year, I got a little bit better. And I liked my time in the Black church, and I had a really good positive experience. Broke into our house and stole the George Foreman grill a few times. But outside of that, it was cool. And you kind of seem like to me like from your personality, you're a likable guy. You probably didn't have so much issues, dealing with the chicks there, dealing with the people there, stuff like that. But then when those people feel like they don't have a community, you said something important, like with some Black men, because there's some people out there saying, listen, F the Black community, we need to go somewhere else or go into the greater community. And you were like, wait a minute, this is the only community that you have. Right. What did you mean when you say that?
what black people don't understand is this, man. White people will support you as long as it's beneficial for them.
Hello.
The moment that you want to do something that's beneficial for you and your people, you realize you're not a part of that community. As long as you're doing something that's beneficial for them, they'll support that, but they're not actually supporting you. So a lot of these black people who became celebrities, they say, forget the community. Now, let's just say they get in trouble with something real big. Black people gonna have your back regardless. White people gonna throw you in the trash once you get connected to some shit. They don't want nothing to do with you no more. So in reality, the black community is all you got. White people use you for what they can use you for, but they are not interested in helping you and what affects your community. So I say this to you black people, you can go out and get the bag and do business with others, but don't you never forget that your community, the black community, has your back. We got a lot of ignorant people. I get it. You can't work with all of them. You can't deal with all of them. But when it all boils down to it, the only community you have is the black one. Them white folks only use you for what's beneficial. And you ain't figured that out yet. That's sad.
Let me ask you this, because I was listening to a guy, a very, very intelligent man, an author by the name of Neely Fuller. I don't know if you heard of him before. And there's these little cartoons that are based off of his work here on YouTube. And and Neely Fuller's position is that all people around the world are victims of white supremacy, right? And so no matter if you even know it or not, you are. And you will hear some blacks say something like this. Well, especially some black men that, let's say if they go to I went to Cal State University, Sacramento. Some brothers go to UCLA, UC Berkeley, because we got a very good school system for the universities in California. And they will say, well, I'm from Inglewood, or I'm from Santana Block where I'm living at. But when I go and deal with these white people, they don't, they never treated me racist, or they've never done anything to me. My experience around them is so great. But when I'm back home, the only person that ever robbed me was a black person. The only person tried to do harm to me is a black person. How do you get around that argument? 'Cause I know you heard that before too.
Yeah. You know what? And you know what I tell them? Kind of like what I said to this swirler. She said, well, black women are harmed. When they're harmed by black men. I said, when white women are harmed, 9 times out of 10 is by a white man. When Asian women are harmed, we are the first to cannibalize and victimize our people of their own race. It's the same thing for whites, Hispanics, and Asians. Everybody victimizes their own before they reach out to another community. So what we got to understand is, I know you've been done wrong by blacks, and you might have been around some whites that, hey, maybe it was at a school setting or whatever. It's not for you to give up on the community because you had some negative experiences, man. You will be attacked by your own people before anybody else. So that's what I want you blacks to understand. You know what I mean? The people who love you, the ones who are close to you, sometimes hurt you the most. But it's not for you to take that and say, well, I give up on black people, I give up on the community. Because if you ever went through something, you ever got into some type of trouble, and God forbid that, but if you did, the black community is the only community that's gonna have your back. It's gonna be a rap and a white one for you, baby.
Let me ask you this, because you made another good point during the stream, man. You be dropping a lot of gems. I have to give you more credit for you than what I initially thought your channel was about after listening to a lot of you shows. I'm like, damn, man, Brother Beast is on to something. We talked about just the black manosphere community before we started, and just the YouTube economy, just addressing black men who, we still very much underserved right now as a group of men. Like, we don't have, a lot of black male comics or black male shows or anything for our guys outside of buying Jordans. But, what I noticed is when Obsidian, came into the space and kind of fathered this, iteration of the Black Manosphere 2.0, he was saying, hey, well, black men support content that's for them. And we know in 2021 that black men will do that, because I'm full-time on here now, you're full-time on here now. Yep. And we are able to really benefit from our own people because we're serving our own kind with our own content. And a lot of people really have a problem, especially a lot of black men that get educated. Do you think that people neglect the black dollar, and talk about the points about how so many blacks get rich off the black community? We can get rich off the black community and fund our own stuff.
Yeah. We can't. Because think about it. We say we don't have money, but if we didn't have money, how could foreigners come in our communities and get rich if black people didn't have money?
Say it again. They didn't hear that. They didn't hear that, brother. Say it again.
If black people didn't have money, how could foreigners move in our community and get filthy rich? Exactly. See what I'm saying? So when we say we don't have money, that's the biggest lie ever told. We just mismanage our money. We misuse our money. Right. Foreigners come here and get very wealthy living in our communities, only patronizing black people. Black people patronize their business. They only do business. They ain't got to do business with white people to get rich in America. So what does that tell black people?
Exactly. And I'm glad you made that point because, and we all know, man, that what us as African American men, especially from some of the more gang cultured areas in America, LA, where you can look at somebody kind of the wrong way and start try to set trip on you. Like, where are you from? Like, I'm from the house of the Lord. What you talking about? You know what I mean? Right. And, we have that kind of negative energy, like it could pop off at any moment, right? But at the same time, this space has shown me all the guys that come through, like, damn, I could get more further working with Red Supreme than maybe I could have got further working at Microsoft. It may take me a little bit longer, but I can get further, right? And with a lot of black men who see the black community negatively, what is it that you think that us as African American men that we could do to try to change the perception of those people who feel that the black community and black America is completely done and we can't do nothing there?
Now, the Menosphere, I will say the Menosphere, but see, this is the thing. You got trying to tear that down. The more and more they see black men working together and creating something and building, that's going to encourage more black people to do the same thing because they're going to see the benefit in working with other, not just black people, they'll see the benefit in working with black men. But it's up to us to set those positive examples so that people can look and say, hold on, these are black men who are working together. They created their own economy. They're doing this full time. They created their own economy and they're working with each other. If we can set more examples like that, that'll make the non-believers turn into believers.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thought on that.
Now let's talk about this though, because we got to go back to the dating piece because I just did a show with a brother by the name of The Developing Dad. Yeah. Now I know you have probably even heard of him. He's a brother in the South. He's 43 years old, devout Christian, married with 5 kids. Mm-hmm. And just like your nephew, he said, I'm gonna do a video on that also, that his son is 16, is already gravitating towards non-black women because a lot of the women that's in that city, the daughters are not being trained with the same values that he's training his son. So the son automatically intrinsically picks up that these women are not they don't have the values that my family has been instilling in me. Okay. And so here's the fundamental problem that we have, and especially out of Cali, where, maybe if you got like Ladera Heights, something like that, some of the other black,
like Baldwin Hills, Ladera Heights.
There you go. Leimert Park back in the day. It was kind of where some of the affluent blacks lived there, but that was kind of for the elites. You know what I mean? They kind of really didn't deal with everybody like that. But outside of those areas, it wasn't a whole lot. I mean, especially probably now, a lot of black families that, there's 2 parents in the house or something like that. And you might be a black man, you might be looking for that. And, you're looking to mate. So what if we know the money's there, but what if somebody says, well, listen, I'm looking to get an African-American woman and I'm just not seeing that these women have the same values of a wife that I'm seeing in other races. How do you get around that?
Man, you know what? That's a good one, man. And that's a good one, man. And I got a lot of homeboys that gave up for that reason. So that's a good question, man. I would say, man, like I've had that problem myself. You know what I mean? Like I grew up with both of my parents. I had my mom and pops growing up. And I think out of the whole block, it was probably like 3 of us that had our parents out of a whole block full of kids in LA. And that made me different, O'Shea. By me having a father in my home, my dad, when the street lights come on, my dad would come get me. My homeboys, they didn't have nobody looking for them. They mamas would be partying, they'd be running. They would make fun of me because I had a dad that would come looking for me.
Right.
So that made me different than the other kids in the neighborhood just by my father saying, nah, you can't, you gotta leave. You can only do so much. But I'll go back to what you're saying. When you're raised a certain way and you can't find a female who has similar values, that's hard, man. That's hard. And that's why a lot of brothers give up right there. Because they start to say, like, I've been working hard my whole life. And I can't find a woman that meet my, my standards in my community. So they start to feel like, well, I'm only getting older. I'm not going to keep looking. I'm just going to go over here.
Right.
And I really don't know what to say to them, O'Shea. That's something that I really don't have an answer for, man. What I would want to tell them, man, listen, there are good black women out here. You just have to be in certain places, but then they're going to say, well, where? You tell me then. Where can I find women? That's what they're going to say.
That's exactly what they're going to say.
So I think I got my hands tied on that one, man. Some of us do meet good women, but it's not to say that the next man is going to, I don't really have an answer for that, O'Shea. That's a hard one.
I think here's what I believe personally. Basically just one thing about that I noticed even about drug dealers, and guys that was in the underworld. I never did nothing like that, but what I would see is that these guys can control their own economy, and so therefore they can set certain rules. Now, drug dealers can be simps for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
But that's definitely true. And just like rappers. But you do get the understanding that because they have a control of their economy, and then a lot of those guys, drug dealers would go from, hey, Cali, they would go to, DC, because a lot of brothers was setting up shop from Cali all through the United States. And they were businessmen and they had networks, right? And they would do these things, even though it's illegal. I'm using them as an example. They were able to be providers, and they got the respect because they were able to make money by themselves. And I know every black man can't be an entrepreneur, but I really honestly feel, looking at them, and I'll even say looking at transposing the Nation of Islam, those men don't have to complain about their women because they have their own schools, they have their own networks. They can provide, and their women have to follow certain rules to get into those societies, right? And I think that what a lot of black men is we want submission as an individual, but the world look at us as a group, and that's something that's very powerful. I think that we forget, as an individual, I went to Sacramento State and did this, but when I go out there, people look at me like I'm Snoop or Red or you like me. And they're going to look at you, well, you're from a group of guys who don't achieve anything. And that's the situation. I think if you get more black men that are known for competing in those same communities as the Pookies and Ray Rays do, you bring in things, you have businesses, you have networks, you have meetups. Then it's something that because women are going to always come where men are at. I mean, if you look on YouTube, right? Look at Kevin Samuel's stream. And there's so many women in there, and they be looking good. I'll be in there simping. I'm about to go simp there tonight, right? And what black men don't understand is, okay, so you and it's gonna take some time, but the changing of the culture, it starts with the productivity of black men.
Yeah.
And the black men have to set those standards, and the black men have to work with those guys and bring those industries and bring those small stuff. And when you start to have success, then that's when people have to kind of understand, like, if I don't do this, I can't get in. But you can't do that as the individual. And that's a problem because, black men, feel a certain way about each other. And we have to have that relationship because they want us to kill each other. And so they can just keep moving us out and restoring stuff. But if we can kind of look at each other not as enemies so much and kind of look at the value that we bring to each other, then women are going to want to be a part of that. And it's not going to happen right away, but it's something that can happen over time. And I know that a lot of dudes don't want to be dealing with these chicks, man, out here because, I mean, think about it, you work hard all your life and stuff like that. And, you're dealing with this chick and, she never had no dad, but that's how the system made it, right? Like it made it for you to not want to deal with her and take care of your communities. They want you to leave. So eventually they can sell it out. But that's just my thoughts. What you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, man, it's going to start with us. And that's why when I was talking about, brothers was talking about simping, I said, listen, bro, There's no point in talking about what women are doing in the space. Women only do what we allow. We set the standard. Right. So if everybody is on code and we move a certain way as men, the women have no choice but to follow our rules. But anytime there's chaos and confusion, I'm saying one thing, he's saying one thing. Now they know they can infiltrate and bring their own program because we're not on one accord. And when we're not on one accord as black men, then we become individual. Oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Yeah, you might have money, he have money, but collectively we are weak because we're not doing anything. We're not creating no infrastructure. We're not even working together. So that right there makes a lot of people say, the hell with the black community, men and women. And yes, it's going to start with us men coming together, setting those standards, man, creating that foundation so that people can see black men working together to build something that will make non-believers believers right there. But yes, it starts with our unity, man.
Let me ask you a question, because we both from the West Coast, you know, and there's a kind of idea that, you know, African-American women, they only like Pookies and Ray Rays. You know, like no matter what you do, you go to Cal Berkeley. And I love, you know, I went to a post-bac program out. Shout out to Cal Berkeley. I went there through the extension program. It wasn't a full-time UC Berkeley, but I did a 2-year thing out there. And, you know, like if you see black people in Berkeley, man, they're like really, really, really like almost like nerds, you know what I mean? And so, but, you know, you see a lot of black men complain about it, that only the Pookie and Ray Ray archetypes get success in Black America. Do you actually believe that? And if so, why not?
I don't believe that, man, because why not? This is why I don't believe it. Now, when you're young, these are guys that say that. These are guys who couldn't get laid in high school. Now, of course, in high school, they're talking about high school. But once you get grown and everything comes about business and being established, the Pookie and Ray Ray wins the short race, but the educated lane wins the marathon. Because guess what?
Oh, say it again, brother.
The Pookie and Ray Ray wins the sprint, but the educated lane wins the marathon. Because guess what? By the time he gets in his 30s and 40s, he's set for life. Pookie and Ray Ray got a criminal record. He got to go back and get it out of the mud. So now the women are looking at it like, well, we had fun with the Pookies, but ultimately the man that I want is a man with some type of stability and responsibilities. And a lot of Pookies and Ray Rays can't provide that. So no, I disagree with their winning. They start out fast, but they burn out quick. I repeat, they start out fast. They might be knocking the females down because he's hustling in high school, might got a little money. By the time you get in your late 20s, 30s, been to jail, they ain't got no real skills that they can depend on. The educated lane wins the race. So all that Pookie and Ray Ray talk, that's just a bunch of mad that they couldn't sleep with them females in high school.
Right. And we kind of reaching our OG status. We didn't see it. We didn't see dudes when they was the shit, and now you see him on the street like, damn, bro, you on crack now. You know what I mean? And then if you the dude that, like, I'm telling you, like a lot of black men don't understand, playing the long game is always going. If you're a dude that own houses, if you're a dude that got a good business network, you keep yourself up. Ain't no one, you know, women like you because it's you. And if you got a good personality, you know how to talk, you know how to say certain, you know, women gonna like you because she like you. All that stuff is a plus. You know what I mean? Especially black women. A black woman can date a Pookie and Ray Ray and can date whoever else. I mean, but I think a lot of black men put emphasis on the fact that, well, you know what? Because I'm educated, she don't like me. I don't also think that's true, because I'm educated, and I'm damn sure ain't been in those streets. But it's just that, you know, if you are a guy that is stable, everybody likes that. If you add value, like look at Tyler Perry. It can be argued with Tyler Perry, even like women, but they want him, right? You know what I mean? It's because of what he can do. You know, right. Do you agree with that, brother, or do you know?
I agree with that, man, because listen, man, it's not about like street. See, now the playing field is pretty even, man, because the Pookie and Ray Ray, yes, he was the cool guy in high school, right? But now that we're older and things is about, you have to deal with life. You got to be responsible. It's all about being established. A lot of these guys don't have anything established. So they have their, now the smart Pookies and Ray Rays got it together and went back and got their shit together. But most of the guys, they can't do that. But I disagree, brother, because right now you can be a guy that went to college. Hey man, if you got your confidence up, you take care of yourself, you're gonna get women. They need to stop telling that lie that Pookie and Ray Ray are the only men that get women. These Pookies and Ray Rays that's in their 30s, they're stuck dealing with hood rats. They knock down bad bras in their 20s. Now that we're older, I just hit 40, and I think you're the same age as me, so you see the same thing. Man, them that was selling dope, that was balling when we was 18, man, them broke as a joke now. And them same can't get those beautiful women that they had access to back then. So I disagree that Pookie and the Ray Ray, them women, they're not dating Pookies and Ray Rays no more because they realized how much of a setback it was for them in life. So Pookie and Ray Ray wins the sprint. He don't win the marathon, which means he loses the game. If you lose the marathon, you lose the game. You can win the sprint, but it's all about winning that marathon.
Right. Because one of the most coldest dudes, man, I got a homeboy that's a dentist, right? And you know, that's like one of the most lamest things that you could do, you know, allegedly in the black community. Man, he's one of the most coldest players I ever met, man. Just like, he was kind of like fat, and you know what I mean? He knew what I'm talking about. He watched the video, but man, he was knocking him down, dog. I mean, I have a homeboy, he's an attorney. He's just knocking him down. I mean, like, he married now, but wouldn't nobody say I can't date you because you an engineer or no. It was just that, you know, some guys just have a little bit of a social awkward time. And I know that in other communities, it's, if you're like, I'm here in Poland. So if you're a guy that's a little bit less reserved, it's easier because these women are less reserved, and you know, black women do want to be entertained a little bit more. But that don't really mean nothing, man. If you're a guy and you have value to a community, if you have stuff, and people know that, people gotta every human being respects somebody who's valuable. I don't care who you are.
Yeah. If you can be a white person that's right. Think about it, O'Shea. It's white people that hated blacks, but if you were so good and you could bring value to their company, same thing as Jackie Rock. They didn't want blacks in the MLB, the Major League Baseball, but they thought about it. Bringing these blacks here will help us to win. So regardless if I don't like him, it's about business. We're gonna bring them because it's beneficial. See, white people understood. The white people before them, we don't want blacks. But the white people that came after them said it's not about us liking these blacks. They're athletic and they'll bring more money to our business. So they were able to put feelings to the side. Let's bring these blacks in because they're going to help us win these championships. Right. So yes, man, everybody likes somebody that's valuable. A racist might hate, but if you can bring value to his company, you're going to be his right-hand man. He going to bring you, he going to hire you for the job. They didn't want the NBA. They didn't want in the baseball league, but blacks were so good, it was undeniable, and it was good for business.
Yes, there you go. And that same thing with Paul Bear Bryant when he coached University of Alabama, and he played. I think he played University of Nebraska one week, and they had a lot of black players, and they whooped their ass. He's like, "Nah, man, we need to get some black players in University of Alabama," and that's what he did. He was, and like you said, it wasn't about. And the SWAC and Grambling, they ain't never been the same since. You know what I mean? And all of that, because all that black talent went over there. And that's important. I think if black men focus on being valuable, you know, the more value that you are and the more stuff and be, you know, I think Chrissy, she said one thing I really agree with her a lot, but she said one thing about working black men, educated black men. They have to assert themselves more in the black community. And I think that is completely true. I think it's a lot of people in the black community looking for that. Cause just even look at the Black Manosphere. You know, that conference wasn't even promoted in Atlanta that much. It sold out because so many guys just want to be around that sort of thing. They looking for it.
Yeah, it's needed, man. It's needed, man. And you brought, O'Shea, I gotta be real with you, bro. You brought so much value to the community with this, man. I know brothers that I put on to your channel. It was like, man, just listening to this, man, it saved my life, man. We've really added value to brothers' lives, man. I got guys who don't know you. They tell me, thank you for sending me that brother's channel, man. I've been able to think about things from a whole nother level that I wasn't able to think on. So yes, man, we gotta give, like, if we had more unity, you guys, I gotta applaud you guys, man, because you guys created an economy and you brought like-minded brothers that would have never met each other together. You see what I'm saying? Now that we have all these like-minded brothers in the same space, we can come together and do business, man. And that's a beautiful thing right there, man. Gotta love that, man.
You gotta love, and that's one thing, you know, what us, you know, because, you know, I think a lot of times with some of the guys who don't like the black community so much, you know, they like, well, I can get $100,000 a year job working for white people and deal with a non-black woman, which is true. You can do that, but it's just, you know, everything starts off small. And I've seen, you know, people that just you know, like there's one restaurant I think Brother Andre Hatchett was talking to me about. It's a vegetarian restaurant. It's a vegan. I forgot what it's called. Slutty Vegan is what it's called, right? Okay. Black restaurant. It's like a food truck, and whenever the food truck comes, it's like always cracking. Shout out to Slutty Vegan, and it's in Atlanta, and they making like tons and tons and tons of money off the black community. And just think about if that person would have decided, like, you know what, I'm just going, you know, go be a chef at Fridays or something like that. Nah, man, they just came through with Slutty Vegan. They just, every time they come through, it's just crazy. And Andre Hatchett was telling me about, like, yo, man, this is in Atlanta too. So I want to just give people, the black community got a lot of issues, you know, but man, your people will always be able to give you more than anybody else. Because the kind of money I'm making right now, I couldn't get this working for nobody, man. Google, Apple. You know what I'm saying?
I know, bro. Even my small channel, bro. I just went and put 20K in my bank account, man. Something that I made in, you know, I would have never made that. I did that in probably like less than 90 days, bro. Right. I'm not gonna make 20K in no regular job. Hell no, not in 90 days.
Exactly.
So even my small channel, bro, I can take vacations. I moved it. I don't live in the hood no more. I live in a decent house, and I've got a little less than 20K subscribers. But brother, I live in a better neighborhood. Hey man, I got savings. I can travel. My rent is paid. I don't have to worry, man. So hey man, I'm happy. I'm not complaining about nothing. I'm just
dealing with the black community. Dealing with the black community, right?
I love the black community. The black community helped me to elevate to a whole nother. Listen, man, because of the black community, man, I was able to move. Well, the community I live in now is, I would say, like 80% white, then maybe like 20% of mixture of others.
Right.
So, nah, man, I'll never turn my back on the black community. It's dysfunctional, but at the same time, it's beautiful at the same time. And somebody might say, how could it be dysfunctional and beautiful? It's dysfunctional because of all the misinformation that we were fed over the, you know, these, I can't even say decades, centuries, misinformation. So yes, we are dysfunctional, but it's beautiful at the same time, because you can't go to no other community and get this love, man. It just can't. You just can't. Ain't gonna happen.
And I want to tell, you know, all the subscribers, man, and I'm pretty sure Red will agree with me on this. Thank you guys for changing our lives, man. You know, if it wasn't for y'all, we would have to be, you know, punching the clock for somebody else getting a less opportunity. But because we create for the people that look like us in our community, y'all allow us to be able to do what we do. And we want to encourage other black people in every sector that we need more businesses. We need more people to supply. We need more restaurants. We need more all of that to keep the money coming in. And for those who have a problem with it, with the black community, don't. I mean, because everybody gets rich off their own people. Like, look at Tyler Perry. I know it's entertaining, but look at him. He made the Medea series as a church play. And then my grandma and them was buying it on DVD. He was making a killing even back then before he got a Hollywood deal.
Yeah.
And then he went from there to Lionsgate to being a billionaire. All off of Black America. You know what I mean? And so I think we talk about how we don't have things. Well, how are you going to have things if you don't develop your own people and your own economies? You're not going to have nothing. Of course, they ain't going to let you have it. You got to go out there and get it. If you don't create for your own people and for where you're from, even in the small business, you don't have 1 or 2 or 3 employees. If you can, you know, create that income and create that network for yourself, it's there. Go ahead and do it. Then you would be able to solve a lot of other problems in your community. You'd be able to have more leverage and voting power because you'd be able to influence campaigns or more funding. You'd be able to do all this stuff. But if you don't have the money, you can't do it.
Right. And that's true, man. That's why it's very important for the black dollar to circulate in, you know, because what they say, it leaves in a couple of hours. Like
6 hours.
How many hours? Something like that. The dollar. Just think about if we had more black businesses and we can circulate that dollar even more, we could actually come together and have more of a voice because we have the money and the financial backing. And on top of that, the unity. See what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things that we can fix. It's really not that hard. We just have to dig within ourselves to put this together, because we can't say that we poor, but we might not have what we want to have, but guess what? Collectively, we can do it. Because think about it. Foreigners come to our communities every day, and they sell to strictly black people and become wealthy just selling goods to black people.
Yep. It's the same thing in Africa. But brother, you really gave an awesome, this is long overdue, because people are gonna be like, man, you should have interviewed a long time ago. But I always ask everybody, brother, tell them what's the reason why they need to subscribe to Red Supreme TV. One.
Well, you can subscribe to Red Supreme TV, man, because I'm a brother that's from urban community in Los Angeles, California. You know what I mean? Born in the 80s, man. So I witnessed this dysfunction, man, and I can speak on it firsthand. And I'm not only do I share knowledge and information and drop gems on the brothers, you can call me, man, and you can reach out to me, man. I can relate to you, man. Whatever you've been through, you know what I mean? My situation is unique is because I was raised in the hood, but only 3 of us actually had fathers. Like 3 other kids on that block had fathers, man. So even though I had my father, I grew up with a lot of kids who didn't. So I know how to reach these brothers firsthand, because my best friend didn't have his father. A lot of my close friends didn't have their father. They would come over to my house just because I had a father. And they, when my dad would take me places, he would take them. So my house was the house to where a lot of kids that didn't have fathers, they could come over, man. And my dad would take them places and kind of like be the father to a lot of my friends in the community, man. So I understand y'all pain. It don't matter, man. You could have had parents that was on drugs. You could have grew up in an unfortunate situation, man. I love my people, man, and I'm here to have a conversation with you, man. I know how to get out of that, to get to better days, to avoid the rainy days. I know how to mentor these brothers, man, because I'm from the community and I'm not just reading stats. I know how to reach these people. I know what they need to hear. I know how to deal with them. See, you know what I'm saying, O'Shea? Like when you're from the community, you know how to deal with the people, man. You know how to talk to them. And with me having that experience, man, that's why I'm able to connect with so many different people in the community. I'll never turn my back on the community, bro. You got people saying single mom. There's single moms in my hood. I've helped them and their children, and not because I wanted to sleep with them, just because I knew them. And I knew this kid has a mother that's not looking out for him. I didn't give little niggas shoes. I didn't give them money because their mothers wasn't doing things. So I tell brothers like this. We can't punish the children because their mothers made bad decisions. It might be a little young boy that needs your mentorship, that needs your advice. But there's too many, I ain't helping that. His mother's a single mother. That's helping a problem. No, it's not, man. The kids didn't ask to be born in this situation. As a black man, if I see a little black boy that needs some knowledge and some guidance, I'm going to give it to him. I'm not going to be stupid and say, his mother's a single mother. Where's the father? Yes, I understand that. But think about this, young brothers. A lot of you got children. And if you don't take the time to correct the behavior of these young boys and girls, these are the children that your children are going to be rubbing shoulders with. So if you want a better black community, even if these kids are not yours, even if they're not yours, I still think we need to take time. All of them can't be saved, but some of them do want to be saved. And those are the ones that we need to reach out to. The ones who are willing to receive the information, the ones who want help. And I'm all for it, brother. I'm not going to turn a brother down because his mother was a single mother. No. These kids are going to grow up with your kids. And if you want America to be better, you're going to have to mentor some of these kids, man, because you don't want them trying to rob your kid. You don't want these little trying to shoot your kid. So we got to offer some type of guidance. If not, we ain't got no business talking about the dysfunction in the community if we're not willing to be some type of assistance. Because at that point, we're just talking about the problem if we're not willing to assist anyone.
No, that's a strong. We should do a show on that because that'd be a real big. We're gonna do that because a lot of people, and I have mixed about you make a strong point that can't be denied. So guys, what you need to do is check out Red Supreme TV 1. Subscribe to the brother, hit the bell. Again, he has a really good live stream. He do his share of roasting on there too. He will cook you over there. So but he will let you call in and talk, and that's what I like about the show. Really talented guy. He'll go far in the business. So subscribe, hit the bell, check him out. And as you know, the buffoonery remains at an all-time high. We out.